In the heart of Paris, beneath the glittering lights of the Champs-Élysées, a secret was buried deeper than the Seine. Camille Moreau was born into everything: fortune, fame, and the kind of power most could only dream about. Her family name opened doors in politics, real estate, and luxury fashion. Her mother was a former diplomat. Her father, Bernard Moreau, the steel magnate known as the Iron Hand of Europe. But none of it mattered to Camille. Behind the golden gates of Chateau Moreau, she felt more like a prisoner than an heiress. Her soul, she feared, was being traded piece by piece for the family's expanding empire. It was on her 25th birthday that everything changed. The grand ballroom echoed with laughter and the clinking of champagne flutes, but Camille was not smiling. She had overheard something, a deal struck in hushed French behind velvet curtains. Her father had orchestrated a land deal that displaced hundreds of immigrant families, erasing their homes in the name of urban beautification. Her protests were met with patronizing words and a promise: one day, you'll understand the price of legacy. But Camille didn't want that legacy. That night, while guests danced under chandeliers, she slipped away into the shadows with nothing but a backpack, a burner phone, and a stolen envelope of cash from her father's study. She crafted her fall from grace with the precision of a master thief: a burned-out car in Burgundy, a falsified suicide note, and whispers in tabloids that the Moreau heiress had cracked under pressure. The world mourned her briefly, and then it moved on. But Camille, reborn as Emma Lenore, began a new life in the forgotten corners of Paris. 4 years, she drifted between soup kitchens, shelters, and finally settled at La Maison de l'Espoir, a sanctuary for refugees in Montreal. There, among people who had lost more than she could imagine, she found something money had never offered her: purpose. She spoke Arabic with the children, taught French to the mothers, and organized food drives with other volunteers. She wore second-hand clothes, slept in a tiny room above the shelter, and answered only to Emma. No one knew her past, except an old woman named Colette, a retired nun who had pieced things together one stormy evening. But Colette promised to take the truth to her grave. Then, one autumn morning, everything began to unravel. It started with a man's voice, firm, familiar, echoing from the hallway as Emma sorted canned goods. She froze. She would know that voice anywhere. Adrien Delacroix, the one man who had ever truly seen her. The man she'd been forced to leave behind. Adrien had been a political journalist and her secret lover during her final years as Camille. He had questioned the Moreau empire relentlessly and nearly lost his career because of it. When Camille disappeared, he mourned her in private, assuming she was dead. But now, standing in the doorway of the shelter, with snow melting in his hair and a donation box in his hands, he looked like a ghost resurrected. Their eyes locked. Adrien's brows furrowed. "Emma," he asked, uncertain. Camille's breath caught. Her carefully built life trembled. She turned back to the shelf. "You must be mistaken." But Adrien wasn't a fool. Over the next few weeks, he kept showing up, asking questions, volunteering at the shelter, slowly closing in on a truth that Camille couldn't run from any longer. Colette, watching from the sidelines, whispered, "Sometimes God brings back what we thought we buried, not to punish us, but to help us bloom." And bloom? Camille did, in pain and in power. She finally confessed to Adrien beneath a flickering lamppost in a quiet alley. She told him everything, about the corruption, the stage death, the guilt, and the refuge she found among the broken and the brave. Adrien listened. Then, he said something she never expected. "I never stopped loving you. But now, I admire you even more." Their reunion was tender, but it brought danger. News leaked. Photos emerged. Journalists buzzed. Suddenly, Emma's name was dragged into headlines. Camille Moreau alive. Heiress turned fugitive. The Moreau empire sent lawyers, private investigators, even bribes, desperate to silence her before she could expose the rot beneath the riches. Camille stood firm. With Adrian's help, she went public. She released documents she'd hidden for years, proof of land grabs, shady offshore accounts, and political bribes. The nation was stunned. Bernard Moreau was arrested. His empire trembled. Camille, now both hunted and hailed, refused to take back the fortune. Instead, she formed a foundation for displaced families, funded by the liquidation of the assets she legally reclaimed from her father's estate. She remained at the shelter, and Adrian stayed by her side, not as a prince to her past life, but as a partner in the revolution she had begun. On the first snowy day of December, as she handed out blankets to new arrivals, a little girl tugged at her coat. "Madame Emma," the child said softly, "they say you are a queen." Camille smiled, kneeling down. "Not a queen, Sherry. Just someone who finally found her kingdom." And for the first time, Camille Moreau, the heiress who chose poverty, love, and truth, felt rich beyond imagination.